So it was worth more for you to pay 365 million euros a year than to allow more Muslims into your country.
Of course, yes, because life has no value. Of course, we would pay, yes.
What if they pay you 100 million a day?
Even if they would fine us $1 billion a day, we would still fight for our life because they think, and that's very good point you made, because they think, the way of thinking mainly from Germany, is that they can buy you, they can fine you, they can destroy you by money, but they don't understand that we have dignity, honor, history.
All right, folks, another clip from the one and only Dominik Terszynski from Poland, who does not hold back on the subject of mass migration and Islamic fundamentalism in Europe and how they have stopped that from entering Poland, and others should perhaps as well. Check him out here in this clip on the podcast of Patrick Bet David. Here we go.
What country has taken on the most Muslims? The millions that have come in, what country took up the most? Is it UK or?
UK is a different story. I would say Germany, Sweden. You have to remember there is no go zones in Sweden now.
UK is different because of Brexit, or UK is different because of the way they...
I think it's different because, first of all, because of the Brexit, but also you've got third and fourth generation of Muslims in England now. Problems, when you see, that's the data. When you see the history of Great Britain, it's a little bit different because you've got, as I said, third and fourth generation. But when we are talking about the Muslims coming from 2015, I would say Germany, France, Sweden, Italy a little bit, but Germans, they have the biggest problem because Angela Merkel was inviting them. Refugees welcome. Obviously, they are not refugees. I'm trying to repeat it every single time. There is a legal difference between refugee, between term refugee and migrant. Refugee, by the international law, is the person who flees to the first safe country from the country of conflict. So like Eritrea, Somalia is not a neighboring country in Poland. You know what I mean? So they are migrants, and the worst part of it is that we know that Putin is using these illegals as a part of the hybrid war. We had actually serious attack, a war on our border. Like thousands of them attacked our servicemen. So we had to react. We built the wall. And I think that the difference between our Polish conservative government and the rest of the world is that we do, then we talk. In many places, unfortunately, under Biden administration, the first question to Kamala was, "Did you go to the border?" She says, "Did you?" She says, "Oh, I didn't. I didn't go to Europe either." You know, the silly, stupid answers. So it is a serious threat when you see data from Germany. There is a very special committee on the parks in Germany, because you cannot go out after 10 o'clock, because after 10 o'clock there is so many rapes in the parks. They had a summit of police and other services in Germany what to do to let girls go out after 10 o'clock. And when I'm trying to bring the data in the European Parliament, they are furious. They don't want to listen.
But let me ask you. Okay, so since 2015, Germany took on the most. If you pull up the statistic data that I just sent you, Kelly, I sent you a link in text. If you can pull it up, the statistic data says that projected number of Muslims by 2050 and right now in 2010 was 4%. They're saying by 2050, which is like 16 years from now, it's going to be around 20%. They're going to go from 4% to 20% is what statistics
It's going
say.
to be more, but okay.
Okay, so let's just say it's 1 out of 5 is going to be 20%. How has that positively impacted Germany? How has that negatively impacted Germany?
I can't see any positives.
No positives.
Like what? They don't pay taxes. They don't want to work. Most crimes committed, percentage-wise, committed by illegal migrants, mainly Muslims. That's the data. So what kind of enrichment it is? I can't see any positives. They ask me. They still trying to picture me and call me Islamophobe. If that would be non-believer, if that would be a Chinese community or Indian or any other, I would say the same by the data. The data is very, very, very straight. Most of let's say 46% of all crimes committed in Sweden is committed by the Muslims under 18. Under 18. 72%, that's Interior Minister published the data, committed in total by Muslims. How come? If they are 20% of the society, why the over 70% of crimes are committed by Muslims? So when you ask me about positives, I really can't see any.
Why do you think, though? Why do you think that's happening? Is it because, like, when you in 1978, 79, when early 80s, late 70s, when Jimmy Carter was a president, he was going after, hey, human rights, Cuba, you're doing this, and all of a sudden he sends his 125 political prisoners. And that's where the movie Scarface, Tony Montana. Is it because they're not sending their best, or why do you think it is?
Because they hate us.
Who hates us?
Muslims hate us, and they do not even hide it. There is a very famous video of the guy on the streets in Germany who is having a conversation with the German guy, and he was like, we are taking over this country. Your daughters will be our slaves, and we will take this country over by the number of children. You don't have a children?
Who said this?
One of the Muslim guys. I'll send you a link.
Is this Canada? Because I've seen that if it's Canada.
Maybe it's Canada. Maybe it's Canada. Maybe it's Canada. But the way of thinking is the same. The mentality is the same, because in Germany, one of the clerics said that they will take over this country by the numbers of children. So if you have a plan, which is called Hijra, right? Taking over the land by the numbers. I think it comes from mentality, from the way of, well, you see, in our Christian world, mercy, forgiveness is a very big part of our way of thinking. For them, the most important is revenge, war, and violence. That's what it is. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but all this calling for terror attacks, for the holy war, we don't have it in our mentality. We know that, but the problem is that politicians are scared to say that out loud. I'm not scared. We know the difference. The difference is that we are ready to forgive. We are ready to say sorry. We are merciful. We know that we commit sins, and we are ready to say that we are weak. For them, the most important part of their life is holy war. This is what they do. In many ways, with a knife, with a sword, with the bombs, and it happens throughout the years. I'm not going to go centuries back, but we know what is happening. I was on Al Jazeera. They invited me to have an interview, and obviously they asked me, why do I think that they are a threat? And obviously the guy says that not every Muslim is a terrorist. Not every Muslim is a terrorist, but most of the terrorists are Muslim. It's a fact. So they're trying to reverse the situation and the meaning of the words and the data. Obviously, not every Muslim is a terrorist, but most of the terrorists are Muslims, and that is a fact. So what we need now in this world, what I believe that politicians needs in this world, is just honesty. Be honest. Say as it is. Do not be afraid. I have I have this impression that most of the politicians are afraid of open discussion, honest discussion. Mm-hmm. They are scared that they will be stigmatized by one or the other group. I don't care. I really don't. I know how it is. I speak with my neighbors, and everyone is just terrified. It's what is happening now is a fear. Different kind of fears. COVID. They tried to fear the whole world, lock us down. Terrorism. And then radical Islamists. Fear. Fear is present. So we have to free ourselves. We need politicians who do not afraid of calling things as they are. And I think we have to fight for normality, for the normal language. Look at these pictures and footages from Iran before the revolution. That was a beautiful country. Mm-hmm. Beautiful country. Mm-hmm. What happened? What's happened in 70s and 80s? They destroyed the beauty of this country. They just destroyed it. It wasn't ages ago. That was 70s. And look what is happening now. So when you ask me for the positives, maybe I'm an ignorant, but I can't see any. When I see the world, September 11, and many, terror attacks in London, then stabbings and rapes in Germany and in England now, every single day, we have a news in Europe that someone was stabbed, raped, killed by Muslims. And this is just a fact. And my problem is that clerics do not react. If you don't want anyone to be Islamophobe, I'm not. It has nothing to do with religion. It's about data. React. You should condemn them. I can't see any condemnation. That is the problem, that the Muslim world the clerics do not react for so much pain, for so much hatred. And this is the problem, that if that would happen in a Christian Catholic world, Pope would react, bishops would react, parishes and communities would condemn the violence. This is what normal world would do. I can't see any of those of this kind of steps, and in a Muslim world. That
is crucial, a crucial point, because we always hear about the moderate Muslims and how not everyone is extremist, and that's true. Not everyone is extremist, but there are very few people who actually voice opposition to the extremists. So there's the level of the people who actually enact crimes and attacks, and then there's a huge segment of the population that just rolls with it. And then underneath also there's like this layer of them that does view positively the expansion of Islamic principles into these countries, which is why they can't really come out and oppose it. And it's a crucial point. The imams and all the important figures, the condemnations are very, very weak to this type of activity. Very weak, and it's very telling.
My problem about it.
So let me ask you this question. So right now, there's multiple angles we can go here. One is you're living in Europe. Mm-hmm. You're part of the EU. You said 27 of you guys, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And in the EU with 700 members, mm-hmm. you're one of the 700 members. You guys don't agree with each other, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a few of them that are like you. Who would you say are the most conservative ones? Would you say you, Hungary? Who else would you put on that list of countries in the EU that you guys are aligned with?
Well, we do have conservatives in every single country, but let's say from Poland is 20 of us, from Italy 24. So every country has a different.
Out of 700, how many would you say are conservative?
Real conservative?
Yeah.
100.
Are you kidding me? Okay. So let's say 100 out of 700 are conservative. The rest are
150.
Okay. 150 to 100 to 150 are conservatives. Okay. If you're part of EU, you have 0.1% of your population that are Muslims. Mm-hmm. If the EU says, listen, you guys can't do this. You got to take some of these migrants to come to your country.
They already did. They already said that.
And then what do?
I'm a politician. I mean, I would like to describe it with my finger.
Okay, I got you.
But I don't want to do it. We said no, we're not going to do it. So they says you're going to pay a penalty for not being in solidarity in our system. We said we don't care. We're going to pay because.
So they can fine you.
Yeah, they did.
How much was the fine?
That was about €1 million a day.
€1 million a day, and you guys paid it?
Yeah.
So it was worth more for you to pay 365 million euros a year than to allow more Muslims into your country.
Of course, yes, because life has no value. Of course. We did.
At what point would you say, what if they make it 10 million a day? That's 3.65 billion.
We would pay, yeah.
What if they pay you 100 million a day?
Even if they would fine us $1 billion a day, we would still fight for our life because they think, and that's very good point you made, because they think, the way of thinking mainly from Germany, is that they can buy you. They can fine you. They can destroy you by money. But they don't understand that we have dignity, honor, history, and we went through so much that money is not the most important in our life. It's not our core. It is important.
However,
it is important for our economy. But you have to remember that if they would mess up with Poland, they would find Poland taxing their products, and we have the tools to fight back.
What's your tool?
Well, Great Britain left European Union.
That's the point I was going to get to. So would there ever be...
If they would do it, if they would put us in a situation when there is no choice, we would say bye. And then you will pay taxes, you will pay for the transportation through Poland. You have to remember that our geographical position is very, very good. We are in heart of Europe. So if you want to travel, if you want to have a transportation, because we are called Eastern Europeans, we are not Eastern Europeans. We are in the very center of Europe. When you show the map, you will see that Poland is heart of Europe, we call it. So, and it's 40 million. Look,
can you zoom in? Can you zoom in? Yeah, there you go.
So if they want to travel, if they want to have a transportation, they would have to pay a lot. We can use, you see, that's a very hard situation for us in history, because on the east is Russia, on the west is Germany, so we paid a lot throughout the centuries because of that. But now is the time to fight back.
And this guy is a maverick, right? He's a complete outlier in the European Parliament for many, many years, or was. And hopefully on the bureaucratic level, it's going to change, because already in the ground level and on the media and independent media level, it's completely changed. People are open about this fact. Mass migration from illiberal Muslim countries is not good for Europe. It doesn't bring many positives. He said no positives. I don't know, no positives. Maybe there's some positives. I mean, there's good food. They always bring that subject up. There's probably some cheap labor of people who are okay. You know, some of the people are okay for sure. But it seems to me like the threat and the danger is much bigger than the positive. And what's so compelling about the evidence is that it's in every single country. It's the same problem, the same issue. So if you saw that in Sweden, it was a massive success, and then in Britain and in Germany, it's a failure, then you could say, aha, policy issue, do like Sweden did. But what you see is that in all the countries, it ends the same way. It ends in fragmented, isolated, ghettoed communities of people who don't hold the values of the country they've integrated or moved to. They don't integrate. They take out from the system more than they put in. And you have these insane terror attacks once in a while that happen in the country. The rapes that have gone out of control in Sweden, rape gangs in Britain, so many problems. So many problems that can just be avoided if you just shut your door a little bit and say, no, we're not going to take any more people in. And even if there is some like immediate economic benefit, well, maybe there are other things in the world besides plus minus on the chart, even though I'm skeptical about that as well, right? The idea that, oh, the mass migration is good for the economy. I don't think that's true. But even if it were true, you know, there are other things to take into consideration, like the soul of your country as Turshinsky there said very clearly they can tax us 10 billion a day, as much as they want. We're not giving up on what makes us us. So I think that's something to be learned there from some of the other countries that are catching on very slowly to this. You know, Germany, Britain, much slower than the Eastern Europeans. They had a harsh history quite recently, so they know, people within living memory, people remember living under communism, what it was to not have control of your country. Now that they have it, they don't want to give it up. In Western Europe, it's been 80 years since they've had a war, the Second World War, so they think democracy, liberalism is just the norm. It can't ever go away. No way. They just take it for granted. So maybe now they won't take it for granted anymore, now that things are happening and you have to fight for your country. Fight for your country.